Hey everybody, today we're starting Unit 2. So when you get your paper, go ahead and write your name and today's date. And then for your topic, write Unit 2. Now the beginning part of Unit 2, again, is just a review from Algebra 1. You learned how to add, subtract, and multiply polynomials in Algebra 1. And to that, for Algebra 2, we're going to add how to use the binomial theorem, which is kind of like polynomial multiplication. And also, we're going to learn how to divide polynomials. So we're going to use long division, we're going to use synthetic division. But we'll get there in time. So first of all, today we're going to just do an introduction, okay? First of all, the definition of a polynomial is that it is an expression consisting of many terms. Okay? Now, terms are the things that we add together for polynomials. So some examples. The number 5. Standalone, that's a number, it's a constant, but I can also call that a polynomial. I also could have the example negative 6x. I could have the example of 4x squared minus 1, which actually is a difference of squares and could be factored if we were asked to. And then last, another example, we could have 9x cubed plus 4x squared minus x minus 2. Now this one has a lot more terms than the others. This one had 1, this one had 1, this one had 2, and this one actually had 4 terms. Okay? Now, one thing that's very important, we always need to make sure that we write things in standard form. We've already talked about that a little bit this year, but just to put the definition down. First of all, it must be written in alphabetical order. Okay? Now, it needs to be written in alphabetical order. That's really only going to matter when there's more than one variable happening at a time, okay? But in addition to focusing on it being in alphabetical order, we need the exponents. So must be written in alphabetical order with the exponents decreasing from left to right. Okay? We need our powers to decrease from left to right. So we're going to practice with that real quick. All right? To start out with, I want to look for my highest power. Right here, I only have one variable, so I don't have to worry about the alphabetical order thing. But I do want to look for the highest exponent. Right here, my highest exponent is 2. So that's going to be the first term that I write down. That was a positive 2x squared. Then the next highest power, even though it's not written, there's an understood 1 right here. So this is a positive 3x. So I'm going to put a plus sign. And then lastly, I have this plus 1. So you'll see that my powers fall or decrease from left to right. I have 2, 1, and then you don't have to write this, but I just want to show you, technically, there is an x to the 0 power right here, okay? We don't write it because it doesn't really make much sense to. I need to remember my exponent rules from middle school, and anything to the 0 power is equal to 1. So this right here, if this is equal to 1, 1 times 1 is still just this positive 1. So we don't write this out to the side, but I want you to see that my powers decrease 2, 1, and then 0 from left to right. Okay? All right, next, number 2. My highest power is 3. So I'm going to take this positive 7k cubed, and I'm going to write it as my first term. The next highest power is 2. So this is going to be plus k squared, because that was a positive k squared. All right, then right here, there's an understood but unwritten 1. So that's minus k. And then last, I will write plus 64. Now this 64 and this 1 we call constants because those are my standalone numbers, okay? All right, number 3. My highest power is 3, so I'm going to start out with w cubed. My next highest power is 2, so I'm going to have plus 5w squared, and those actually were already in order for me. Next, I'm going to have minus w, because there's an understood but unwritten 1 right here, and then plus 28. So really all I had to do was swap those last 2 terms around, but I kept the negative with the w, and I kept the plus with the 28. Okay? Number 4. My highest power is 3. Out in front of this n cubed is a negative, so I need to make sure that I keep the negative out front, so that's negative n cubed plus n, and then that's a positive 24. Notice there was no squared term, so I just kind of kept on and didn't worry about it. All right, and if you'll look at number 5 and number 6, you'll notice I have multiple variables. So I want to pick the variable that comes first in the alphabet. Right here, I have A's and B's, so I'm going to focus on my A's. The highest power of A is a cubed, so I'm going to start with that. My next highest power of A is a squared, so that's plus 5a squared b squared. Okay, this one doesn't have an a, this one does, and its understood exponent is 1, so this is going to be plus 2ab. So I've got all my terms with the a's, and then I've got this last term, negative 2b cubed. Okay? All right. And then number 6, right here, my highest power, first of all, it's got 2 variables. So C comes first. I'm going to focus on that. My highest power of C is 3. So negative C cubed minus 7C squared D squared. And then this one doesn't have a C, neither does that one. So I'm going to go with the one that has the variable. So I'm going to do plus 5D cubed. And then I will put the constant positive 13 out in the back. Okay? So putting them in standard form, make sure it's in alphabetical order, and make sure that your powers decrease from left to right. All right. Next, let's talk about the degree. The degree of a polynomial is the highest power in my expression or equation. In Unit 3, we will solve these polynomial equations with higher powers. So we need to make sure that we remember it doesn't have to just be an expression. It can also be an equation. An equation is one of those things with the equal sign, okay? So we're going to relearn, you did this in Algebra 1, but we're going to relearn how to classify my polynomials by their degree and their number of terms. So I'm going to use 2 words to describe each of my polynomials that I'll look at in just a moment. First of all, let's talk about the degree of the polynomial. The degree, remember, is the highest power or the highest exponent. If the highest exponent is 0, that means I have a number. So remember, we call those standalone numbers constants. Okay? So if it's just a number, it would be a constant. If it is x to the first power, taking a trip back to Algebra 1, that would be linear. X to the first power, if I graph that, it would create a line. We have spent the majority of our school year so far doing x to the second power functions, and so those are what we call quadratic. We've been solving quadratic functions for their solutions. We've been getting 2 solutions for quadratics. X to the third power is cubic functions. X to the fourth power, this is a new one. This is a quartic function. Now this actually happened to be the bonus question on your first test. So a quartic function or a quartic polynomial can have 4 solutions. All right, and then I want to add one more. So let's draw a little section over here. Hopefully I can make that look a little better. Sorry about that. And I'm going to make my box, and I'm going to put a number 5 in. Okay, so a 5th degree, x to the 5th degree, we call those quintic functions. Quintic, kind of like quintuplets, okay? Anything above 5, so if I have x to the 6th power, I just call that a 6th degree function, or a 7th degree function, or an 8th degree function, okay? Anything above 5, we do not have a special name for. We simply just use the number to name it, okay? Next, let's classify them by the number of terms. This is how many pieces I have. If I have one piece, the prefix for 1 is mono. So this is a monomial. If there are 2 pieces, the prefix for 2 is bi, so binomial. The prefix for 3 terms is tri, so that would be a trinomial. Let's see if I can spell right. Sorry about that. A trinomial. And then 4 terms or more, I call a polynomial. The prefix poly means many, okay? All right, so let's look at my examples. I want to use these words right here to classify each polynomial by its degree and number of terms. Now I'm going to use 2 words. I'm going to let the degree be like my adjective and my number of terms be like the noun. So, for example, pretty girl, handsome boy. I have 2 words to describe what the person, place, or thing is, okay? All right, so right here, I have just the number 6. It is a standalone number, so therefore it is a constant. And there's only one term, so it is a monomial. It is a constant monomial. All right, for number 8, my highest power is 1, so that makes this linear. And then I only have one piece. I know there's 2 different things going on right there, but they're together. Okay, so this again is a monomial. Number 8, negative 2x is a linear monomial. Number 9, I have 7p plus 1. P has an exponent of 1, so that makes this linear. And I have two pieces being added together. So that makes this a binomial. Okay? So we have a constant monomial, a linear monomial, a linear binomial, and then right here my highest power is 2, so that makes this quadratic. And I have 1, 2, 3 terms, so I'm going to name that a trinomial. So a quadratic trinomial. Number 11, I have 4a cubed minus 8. My highest power is 3, so that makes this a cubic. And there's only 2 terms, so that makes it a binomial. So a cubic binomial. And then last over here for number 12, my highest power is 4, so that makes it quartic. And I have 4 terms, so that makes this a polynomial. Okay? So there's that. All right, so you have learned how to write these things in standard form, and you have also learned how to classify them. So let's flip over to the back and let's take a look at adding and subtracting. All we are doing is simply combining like terms. This right here is stuff that you have been doing since middle school, okay? Maybe even elementary school. All right, so what we're going to do, we're going to start by looking at the symbol that's in the middle of our parentheses. And I know whatever that sign is, I have to distribute it to everything that's in the set of parentheses behind it, okay? So what that's going to do, I've got 11x minus minus x squared plus 13. Nothing changed up front. Because it's a plus sign, nothing's going to change. So I'm just going to drop the parentheses. I have plus 2x squared, minus 23, and minus 5x. So I want to kill 2 birds with 1 stone right here. I want to look for my highest power. I want to write it in standard form and combine my like terms at the same time. My highest power that I see is 2. So I am going to identify all of my x squared terms, keeping the sign with it. Remember, there's an understood 1 right here. Negative 1x squared plus 2x squared is just 1x squared. My next term would be 11x minus 5x. So 11 minus 5 is positive 6, so that's plus 6x. And then I have 13 and minus 23. 13 minus 23 is negative 10. So this is my combined new polynomial. It's in standard form. But if I look at my subtraction example, I have to be extremely cautious here that I am distributing the negative to every piece inside. Okay, the first set of parentheses, nothing changes. It stays the same. But everything in this back set of parentheses, I'm going to change the sign. So I have negative 7x, because it was a positive. This was a positive 3x squared, so now it's negative 3x squared. And then I'm going to change this positive 1 to a negative 1. So same thing. My highest power is 2. I'm going to identify my like terms. 4x squared minus 3x squared is 1x squared. Then I have 5x minus 7x. 5 minus 7 is negative 2, so negative 2x. And then there's nothing to combine with this constant, so I'm just going to bring it down. Okay? Let's jump down very quickly, and I want to look at number 25 and number 26. When I say find the sum, I'm asking you to add the pieces together. Addition, the order does not matter, so you can just write it with a plus sign and go to town. But order matters very much so with subtraction. It tells me to subtract this polynomial from this polynomial. So this is what came first. I need to write this polynomial up front. So w cubed plus 6w squared minus 2. And then I'm going to take away from it the other parentheses. So minus 2w squared minus 5w plus 10. Okay? Now, your job right now and this evening, if you do not finish it, okay, your job is to complete 13 through 26 all. This will be checked. This will be for a grade. So please make sure that you take the time to get it done. All work must be shown. If there is no work, there will be no credit given. So do your job well, get it done while you're in class and you don't have any homework, and you can have a great evening free of math. Okay, I hope y'all have a great day. Bye.